Hey, welcome to Sports Unfolded, episode 13 of season 2. I'm your host, Eric. Main man right over there, Ron. How are you?
Hello.
I know every time you see that intro and you see Chara holding that cup up, just a little bit of you gets, excited about doing this show.
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
That's why we threw it in there, just for you. But we got tons to unfold this week, especially in the NFL with our leadoff story.
Lead off
That
story.
is one Bruce Arians has decided to retire from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. How do you think this is going to affect the team overall?
Um, you know, I think as a whole, I think they're gonna still be fine. Um, because you're basically still gonna have everybody in place for the most part. Like Leftwich will still be the offensive coordinator, so I don't think it's gonna affect the offense at all.
Todd Bowles, I guess they named co-defensive coaches for defense, so they'll have a double whammy on defense there. So he had an 8-year career, 5 with Arizona, 49, 30, and 1, and then 3 years with Tampa, 31 and 18. One Super Bowl championship, obviously the one he won when Tom Brady came over. 2-time AP Coach of the Year. His playoff record 6-3 lifetime. Todd Bowles, 5 years with the Jets, 26 and 41. So I would just question maybe overall his coaching acumen on if he's listen, he's been around a long time, knows how to do a lot of things. So from a coaching standpoint, he knows his stuff. It's just the message and how he's going to be able to relay it to the team. But that's not my gripe with this whole move. And I told you before we started that, I want to go on a little rant. And my rant is going to be about the timing of this and the NFL. The NFL, to me, is one of the most fixed leagues in the entire sports industry. Conveniently, Brian Flores, who is suing the NFL for racial discrimination, somehow this move happens as though that lawsuit is going on and pending. To me, the timing just doesn't add up. The NFL is basically setting this up as, look, we do hire black coaches. We just did it. We just did it in Tampa Bay. I don't know if this is a legitimate move because it was best for the team or it's best for the league. And that kind of bothers me that they seem to do this every single time something big comes up. Any big story that comes up, they somehow figure a way to mask it. Colin Kaepernick and how they masked it, right? And they all of a sudden it's like all these rules came into play. You can't kneel. You can't do. They just do things to basically make sure the public continues to fund them. I understand you're a business and you're trying to make money, but at the same time, there's issues that are continuously going on in this league. Now they're basically making teams either hire a woman or an ethnic coach on the offensive staff going forward. I feel like you're just forcing this now. It's not what you really want. It's what you're trying to force. And this move to me just portrayed that. I don't feel like this was a legitimate move. Listen, Bruce Arians, 69 years old. He was probably at the end of his rope anyway. People can say him and Tom Brady didn't have an issue. There was a feud. I don't think Tom Brady would have came back if he knew Bruce Arians was staying. Tom Brady knew before Todd Bowles knew that that Arians was stepping away. It's all set up to basically look like the NFL is doing their justice of hiring racial, ethnic coaches because they want to make sure that they're making this quota. I was disgusted by the move.
Well, I mean, look, the NFL has a history of candy coating things to make it look good. You know what I'm saying? Whenever, like you said, these hot topics come up, something is done just to candy coat it and just appease everybody. So this isn't Tampa Bay, trying to do the right thing and hire a coach that's qualified, and going to lead the team to the promised land. This is the ownership's going to Tom Brady and saying, "Okay, what can we do to make you come back?"
Yeah.
And this is Tom Brady saying, "Well, I'm not really seeing eye to eye with Bruce Arians, so if he can somehow not be the head coach, I'd be all for that."
Yeah.
And so they went with Todd Bowles instead of Leftwich, because of the experience factor. But that experience wasn't all that great, because how many times did he lose to Tom Brady? It's going to be Tom Brady coaching this team to try to get them to a Super Bowl again, because without Tom Brady, um, Arians isn't winning a Super Bowl.
So I look at it this way as well. When I say the timing of it, if Bruce Arians legitimately was going to step away, why did he wait till they basically couldn't? They didn't hire a coach. They didn't go through a hiring process.
No,
They took somebody on their staff that was currently there because the timing of it. You're not going to sit there now and try to do interviews and hire a coach right before the
right,
draft.
because they didn't want to do that.
Exactly. The NFL set this up with
Yeah,
Tampa Bay, and they just masked it because it'll make it look like, look, we've got another black coach in the league now, and
yeah,
Flores doesn't have a leg to stand on. This is bogus. It's
yeah,
absolutely bogus. And none of these ESPN, NFL Network, any of them are going to say it. So we're going to say it.
no,
It's a
because
bogus hire.
yeah, because ESPN is owned basically by the NFL,
Yeah.
because that's their breadwinner. You know, they have the games on ABC and ESPN. Like the NFL has their hands in their pocket, and this is what ESPN has to do. They have to just go along with the routine. You know, we who don't have any hands in our pockets, or money for that matter,
Good point.
we can say whatever the heck we want about whoever we want, and we don't leave any stone unturned. We say what the facts are, and this has stink written all over it.
Absolutely.
And Flores, if anything, should be a head coach somewhere, and he has to take this little dinky, you know,
Assistant defensive job in
yeah,
Pittsburgh.
yeah. It's just crap.
I
And look, kudos to the Pittsburgh Steelers for bringing him in, because they didn't have a spot for him. They wanted him though.
Yeah.
Like I could see him taking over for Mike Tomlin if Tomlin steps away. That could happen. That could be the ultimate plan. And congrats. If that's what they're planning. Because I give the Steelers a lot of credit for just bringing him in, and he's probably overpaid for that position too. But I give them credit for it.
No, I listen. At the end of the day, I believe there was 8 coaching jobs or positions available in the NFL.
And it was hard to believe he didn't get any of them.
None of them went to a black candidate. Somehow now Arians retires and they slide a black candidate in.
Yeah.
If you can't see the writing in between the lines, then you're more naive than I thought. As a fan, you have to understand that what they're doing right now is they're just trying to cover up their mistakes. When it's a legitimate hire where they go through an interview process and get hired as a head coach, then I'll say they're starting to learn their lesson. Until then, even these owners, Jerry Jones now going through a legal situation where he's paying people. We don't talk about it. We just bury it under the rug because guess what? Jerry Jones makes millions of dollars for the NFL.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. But let's go on to some NFL. Let's talk about the better side of it. Well, one of two of the better sides. We're going to talk. Bobby Wagner has signed a 5-year, $50 million contract with the defending Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams, possibly up to $65 million with incentives. Does this move help them have a shot to repeat?
I think it makes them the favorite in the NFC conference. I think it makes them the favorite because you look at, the other teams that are going to be out there. Green Bay, they don't have that top receiver anymore. So that's going to take away from Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, they'll figure something out to put a rookie in there, but again, it is a rookie. And Aaron Rodgers can do it without that key guy.
Yeah.
But he ain't gonna bring you to a Super Bowl without a key guy. He can't do it with the
Can't
key
do it with
guy.
a key guy. Thank you. Wait a minute. Hold on.
So I truly believe that the Rams probably go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, look, Bobby Wagner.
No, go ahead.
He's 2 years younger. 93 tackles last season. Only 1 sack, but look, Von Miller's 33 tackles, 9.5 sacks, 5 with the Rams last year in 15 games. But you can't tell me that Bobby Wagner is not an upgrade at that position for them.
It's definitely an upgrade. Now they have layers. They have somebody on that line. They have somebody, as a linebacker, and they have somebody in the secondary. So there's layers there. And most teams can't say that. Now, I know a lot of teams improved in the league, but they improved their line and or defensive back, but their linebackers might still be suspect, or they improve the line and their defensive backs are suspect. So
no, and I like the fact
that they
get
a layer.
Seattle went to back-to-back Super Bowls. Granted, they lost the second one, but if you talk about the experience now that he can basically come into with the Rams and say, look, this is what our mistakes were, or this was some of our struggles to get back to the Super Bowl. That helps them from that standpoint as well, the experience. I thought this was a great signing for them. I really wanted to see him come to New England.
I did too.
And it just didn't happen.
I was hoping.
So, again, the rich get richer when it comes to that. But we're going to talk about the new NFL overtime rule that was adopted. Both sides will
overtime crap. No matter what the rules are, they all suck. Because football is just designed that way.
So this is only implemented in the playoffs. It will not be during the regular season, but both teams now will receive possession of the ball before they go to sudden death. Please let me start this because I am legitimately I thought I was upset about the Bruce Arians thing. This overtime thing is absolutely the biggest joke I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. Because what's the rule now, Ron? Team that gets the ball first, if they score a touchdown, game's over, right?
Game's over, yeah.
So now what we're going to do, and this is all because of that Kansas City-Buffalo game, and people Buffalo didn't have a shot. Okay, so let's go back into the future now, back into the past. Back into the past. And let's replay this game now with this new rule in place. Guess what happens? Josh Allen goes down the field, scores a touchdown. Guess who gets the ball again? The Kansas City Chiefs. Guess what happened? They score a touchdown, game over. It's the same exact rule. It didn't change. It just gave the other team the ball to score down, to do the same thing. And then people are going to complain, well, if they got the ball again, they didn't change anything.
No.
It's the same rule.
No, and see, this is the thing about football. As wonderful of a game as it is, overtime will never ever be fixed because it can't be fixed because of the nature of the game.
Because they don't want to get kicked. I told you, field goals.
And I get that. I personally would like to do, a 2-point conversion type thing with the quarterback, and maybe no linemen. Maybe just go out there, 4-on-4 with your receivers and your quarterback and do it that way.
Oh my gosh.
But it's never going to be fixed because of the nature of the game. See, basketball, hockey, they have that overtime and it gets decided. Simple, very simple. Hockey, you score the goal, you win the game, because they swap, possession. Yeah. Baseball has the innings set up for this. That's what it has. It has the innings. You play until somebody wins, right? Well, in football, it kind of doesn't work because one team has possession of the ball. And is it fair, whoever gets the first crack at it? I don't know. I don't know if it's fair or not because, it's a coin toss to decide who gets the ball
But
first.
but okay, so now it's whoever gets the third possession. That's
Right.
all they did. They legitimately didn't
Yeah, I
change
know.
anything.
So it's like football
It's
can
pointless.
never be fixed. It's not a good
They don't
game.
want it to be
It's
fixed.
not a good game to go into
And then
overtime.
and then why only in the playoffs? So now you got all these teams during the regular season, and it's going to be the same argument. Like, why didn't we have this rule? Why did so and so lose this game? And I don't understand why they even bother doing this.
Yeah, you
Keep the
can
rule the
like I
same.
said, you can either have the quarterback solve it or the kicker solve it in overtime. Nobody is going to be happy,
Ron,
no matter what you do.
let's start a campaign because obviously they buck under pressure, right? And let's just say I want this field goal thing to be a legitimate thing. Because I think if we make enough stink, you get the field goal kickers, you let them kick 20, 30, 40, 50. First one to miss. That's it. You win the game. Something to make it
And go without
legitimately
linemen. Do
right.
it without
Yeah,
linemen.
just let the guys come rush at them
So
from 15 yards. And if they can
yeah,
block it, great. Whatever. I don't
yeah,
care. But
I like
don't give
that.
me the same thing and tell me it's different.
Gonna have to sign 20 kickers, because they're gonna
It,
get killed.
it's like I'm going to the dealership right now, and hey, here's the brand new 2023 Ford Mustang in green. But this one's different because it's yellow. It's the same car. It's just a different color. You
Yeah,
didn't change anything.
right.
You know what I mean? Like they've got to. I don't know. It's just a stupid rule that they should have never
Football,
even wasted
football
their time.
stinks in overtime. It
You know why?
stinks
Because
in
there's
overtime.
billions, Ron. Billions. They don't care. They don't care
Yeah.
what the fans think. They don't care because guess what? Next year, people are going to complain about this rule, and we don't know if we want to change it.
For this matter, okay, so why don't
Buy it up right now.
why don't they just go until you know the score is different at the end of a quarter? And I don't care if you have to sit there and you have to play 5 extra quarters. Play a full quarter, whatever the score is. If it's
I
still
agree with
tied,
you on the 2-point conversion. Make it a 2-point conversion.
yeah,
Look, I
there's
think
other ways,
the percentages are lower to make a 2-point conversion. Whatever team, so you have to go for 2. If you miss, the second team can go and kick an extra point
Yeah.
to win it. Whatever, like but I don't know something, but that's stupid, dumb rule.
No,
But
I don't like the rule.
what's
I hate
around the
overtime.
corner,
You know
Ron?
this. I complained about it all
know.
year.
I know. And a triple play time, my friend. And right around the corner is MLB baseball. So excited to get baseball going again. Tuesday, we have our Major League Baseball preview show. That's going to be intense. A lot going on with that. We're
Yeah,
very
you'll definitely
excited.
want to tune in for that if you're a baseball fan.
So much going on. So much going on. And it'll be our first ever top 5 baseball team. So we're already going to predict who's our top 5 going in. Can't wait. Can't wait.
Oh, for the
rankings.
power rankings? Okay.
Our power rankings will be
I was
out
like, wait a minute.
on Tuesday, released for the first time.
Yeah.
Still tweaking. Something might change. Some trades have happened, some things, so teams might move. We're still going. But our triple play, since we're getting into that Major League Baseball season, we decided to take the Dodgers starting pitchers, who are very good. There's 3 very good starting pitchers, and we're going to decide who we start, bench, and cut. And that's Walker Buehler, Julio Arias, and Clayton Kershaw. You are first this week, my friend. So let me know who you're starting, who you're benching, and who you're cutting.
This is a tough one because
It was very tough because they have very good numbers, all of them.
So yes, and so I'm going to read off some of the numbers before I even place them.
Okay.
So Bueller.
Fry.
40-13 career, 2.90 ERA. Obviously won a World Series, and I can't read my writing, so I have no idea what that says. And Urias or
yes,
Urias, 32-10, 3.09, 1 World Series win, of course. And then there's Kershaw, 185-84, obviously been around.
Very good.
2.49 career ERA. 1 MVP, 3 Cy Young awards, 8-time All-Star, 1 World Series win, and all that time. Won it with the other 2 guys. A Gold Glove and 5 ERA titles
Wow.
as credit. But last year, 3.55 ERA.
Mhm.
And that's the number that scares me with him. So, with that being said, I worry about his durability. For one, he's 34 years old now,
Yes.
so he's getting long in the tooth,
Very, very injury prone.
very injury prone. So even though those numbers are great, except for last year, you can always expect a bounce back. But will he make it through the year? So because I'm not sure of that, I have to go with Bueller as my starter.
Okay.
Look, he's just a fantastic pitcher. I mean, he's fantastic. He
Had a great
gets
year
the
last
job.
year.
Yeah, he gets the job done. He gets the job done.
He was that top
Uh,
pitcher last year when it came
yes,
to strikeouts.
yes. And 2.90, I'll
Nothing.
take.
Yeah,
I'll
without a
take
doubt. Anything
because
under
there's not
3.
many pitchers that can do
Yeah.
that. So the question is the
Benching.
bench, and with this, I'm going to bench Kershaw because of what he could possibly do.
Wow.
And I
Blows me
know,
away.
look,
Blows me away, buddy.
I know the numbers on this kid is 32 and 10. His ERA 3.09. It's only been a couple of years,
Yeah.
so he has still those same doubts. With him, I don't think it's a durability; it's whether he's going to maintain that.
Okay.
Now that he's been around a couple of years, some of the batters might be able to tee off instead of not knowing what he's going to do. And so I got to go with Kershaw as my bench because what he can do. Because if he does go back to 2 years ago, even though he was hurt, it was still like sub 2.5.
Okay. I'll give you.
And
You're going on the what if.
I would take that. That chance that he could just be dominant. I will take the chance.
All right. All right. So little bit different. I looked at what they did last year.
Yep.
So I still started Bueller. I agree with you. 33 games,
Yeah.
16 and 4 with 212 12 strikeouts.
Yeah.
Julio Arias,
Yeah.
I actually benched and 32 games. He was 20 and 3 last year. With
Believe me, I
195
was thinking of
strikeouts.
that.
So here's my
Yeah.
concern would be Kershaw played 22 games last year, was 10 and 8 with 144 strikeouts. I feel like he's the one guy of these 3. When we're going to talk about our preview show, Manny's following. Thank you. When we talk about the baseball preview show on Tuesday, when we're going to talk about this starting rotation, I'm going to say he's going to be the one guy that's probably out because the other 2 have played basically their full seasons for the last couple of years, and he's been injury prone. So that's the only reason why I would cut him, which is insane because, like you said, he's so heavily decorated.
Right. And that's just it. Do I think he can bounce back? I think he can, but he's got to stay healthy. He's got to stay healthy because I think, maybe his numbers were a little ballooned because of missing all that time last year. The previous year.
Yeah.
So it could have been ballooned because of not pitching a lot, and he didn't have that velocity or that location, that he's used to. And it might take a pitcher that loses the velocity a year or 2 to figure out how to pitch.
Yeah, it's going to be.
And I think that's where Kershaw is in this stage. 34 years old. He's lost something on his fastball. Now he has to pinpoint it. And if you look back, I compare to Greg Maddux. Greg Maddux was just a dominant pitcher for so long. And throughout his time, he kind of started relying on the curveball, the changeup, and stuff like that.
Yeah. You have to change it.
Because you're not going to have that velocity forever. And Maddox prepared himself for it, and that was the big difference
Yeah.
between these two. Maddox prepared ahead of time.
I think, like you said, the problem is with him being out, sometimes he's unable to adjust because
Right.
he's not able to change it because he's missing. Want to thank Manny for the bits. Thank you. Appreciate that. Let's move on to some NBA. We're going to bring this athlete up. And that's one very important piece for the Boston Celtics, Robert Williams III, who has suffered an injury, which should keep him sidelined, what they're saying, 4 to 6 weeks. How do you feel this affects the Celtics' chances advancing in the playoffs?
Well, they'll make the playoffs. I mean, that's not even a
No,
question.
it's advancing in the playoffs. So he's probably going to miss at least round one of the playoffs.
Look, and this is why the Celtics have to, maintain that good play that they've been accustomed to the last month or so.
Yeah. They've lost two straight since he's been out.
Yeah, they have to get into that top three. I would be worried if they have to play Brooklyn in the first round.
Nah, it won't happen. Brooklyn's too far down. Right now, they're scheduled to play Toronto, which would be more concerning to me because now there's a lot of questions on the vaccination status of some of the players, including Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. So we may not have some key players besides Robert Williams if that's our first round matchup.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd still take that over having to play Brooklyn.
I'm not as sold on Brooklyn as I thought I would be. And I think some of it's because I am more concerned. Look, Milwaukee, who we're going to talk about, looks just like they're taking off now at the right time.
That's what I said. I told you. Milwaukee is a scary team.
I'm very concerned when you're trying to replace 10 points, 9.6 rebounds, and 2.2 blocks. So he leads the team in rebounds and blocks. Al Horford has had a very good season for Boston. Now you're asking Grant Williams and Daniel Tice to be that facilitator in between, Al Horford. It's a lot to ask.
Yeah.
This kid, I really like Robert Williams. I think he's such a talent. The problem is the same thing we were just talking about with Kershaw, though. He's injury prone. He just brittle. Cannot stay healthy.
He's brittle.
Yeah, and it's killing this team because
as is Brown. Brown is brittle too.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what you got to fear more than anything. I think it doesn't matter who they're going to play. Are they going to be a full squad?
In a perfect world, the Celtics wouldn't be brittle, and they wouldn't have to play a fourth quarter.
Yeah, there we go. All right.
Perfect world.
All right, so let's make that happen.
They'll win by 20 every single night if you only play 3 quarters.
3 quarters. The Celtics, guaranteed win every time. Stop the game each time. So, what about the team, the Milwaukee Bucks? So they just beat Brooklyn last night. They're only a half game out of first place now. Should the East be on notice with the Bucks?
Yes, absolutely. Look, they have a great bench. It's nobody that they don't have, many guys that, stand out in a crowd. If you put a bunch of basketball players on the court, it would be hard to, pick out who the Milwaukee Bucks are. You got
Giannis.
2 or 3 guys, right? You got Giannis. Everybody knows who Giannis is, and then it's kind of, quietly going through the season. You put up great numbers, but nobody knows who you are. And that's what they do. They kind of go into games where you just don't expect them to be as good as they really are. And it's like you look at the names, it's like, oh, I don't even know who these people are. But you find out who they are after the game is over because they all contribute, in a way that goes unnoticed because of Giannis is so dominant, in how he plays. It's like you always notice him because there's always something big that he does in a game. Whether it's now a step back 3 that he's got, all of a sudden, and that's the thing. He's trying to improve. He wants to win, and He's hungry. He's still hungry.
Yeah. So the
And
funny
when
thing,
Giannis wants to eat, he's going to eat.
oh yeah, and that's what I said. Look, um, quietly they're 20 games over 500 now, fourth
Yeah.
in the league in scoring, which you wouldn't expect. You think more defense with Milwaukee. They're actually middle of the ground defensively. But
Well,
Giannis has taken off now as he's looking to be a 3-time MVP because he's tied for the league lead in scoring.
yep.
You 30% shooting from threes, which doesn't sound good, but you think about where he was, and he's
Yeah.
increased his free throw shooting by 2%. So he's at 72%. So it's not as easy as just following him and then making
Yeah.
him miss at the line because he's making those shots. And you
Yeah.
saw it again last night. He is starting to
Yeah.
take off and dominate. He reminds me, I'm not talking build wise, but when you talk about domination, a Shaq, where there's just a guy you can't stop.
Right.
And Giannis is turning into that guy now. Like he kind of just coasted through the season, and it's like, wait a minute, it's time now. We've got to make our run. And you can see there's nobody that can stop him.
Well, you look at the point where the Celtics started playing well. If you remember, the Celtics were a couple of games behind Milwaukee, who was barely above, the
Yeah.
play-in game. And it's like, there was a lot of people talking how Milwaukee doesn't have that drive this year, right? Well, coming down the stretch, who doesn't have that drive? You know what I mean? It's like Milwaukee is right there. They're playing just as well as the Celtics have been, and they have themselves right in the thick of things. And then you get teams like Philadelphia who, after the trade, we're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
they just got better. And they
Now look at
did.
them.
But, but
It
they're
didn't take
not.
very long. Yeah, it didn't take very long for that to fall off.
No,
And,
no.
and they have the championship pedigree to win. I would be very scared. I told Boston, I'm more afraid of Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And what they can do. Because again, who's defending Giannis? Especially if you don't have Robert Williams.
Right.
That really is going to hurt them. But I think the Bucks have a shot to repeat. I mean, if they continue to play this way, the West is tough though. Could we see the repeat of Phoenix and Milwaukee in the finals?
It could be.
Right? That'd be pretty
It could
fun.
be.
It was a good series. It was a good series. Let's talk some Major League Baseball, Ron, and let's bring up Jake DeGrom. So he's experiencing some shoulder tightness, and they're saying at least 4 weeks he's going to miss. If you're the New York Mets, how concerned are you with this injury?
I'd be very concerned because when you take a look at the Mets organization, they've had some great pitchers in New York for a while now.
Yeah.
But every year they have injuries. And I'm beginning to think that it's something organizational, that is the reason why they keep having injuries with their pitching staff. I don't think, I don't know if it's been the same, pitching coach, trainers, all of the whole, aspect of the fitness. If it's been the same for the past how long, I don't know. But I'd start questioning on things that they do because this is a reoccurring problem every season with the pitching. And they had to basically let Syndergaard walk away because of those problems. And look, if Syndergaard doesn't have any problems this year, you got to look squarely on your training methods and how you handle the pitchers, because to me that's the problem.
So look, DeGrom
it just happens too much.
15 games last season, was 7-2 with a 1.08 ERA. So you think about what he was doing, 146 strikeouts, was dominating.
Right.
But then he had several injuries, and then they finally shut him down in July.
Yeah. And this is what I'm saying. I think there's something with their philosophy of how they train, how they use the pitchers, maybe even, what pitches they're throwing at certain times. So I think they really start needing to figure this out because I'm thinking that it's their fault.
Yeah, and you might be right. Listen, they picked up, though, in the starting rotation on Max Scherzer. So that's a very big move. right?
Right.
Then DeGrom would be your number 2. Chris Bassett, who was 12-4 last year with a 3.15 ERA.
Yeah.
After that, there's some questions. So you got 3 top guys. Without DeGrom, that really hurts their chances. I mean, the
Yeah.
Mets have made a ton of moves, but Carlos Carrasco, 1.5, 1-5 with a 6.04 ERA, and Juan Walker was 7-11 with 4.47 ERA. So I don't think those 2 guys replace what you lose when DeGrom's out.
No. But again, I haven't watched either of them in spring training yet. So it could be a case of they have good stuff and they're hoping that those guys put it all together. And that's a lot of the cases around the league. I mean, look, when you talk about Oakland, this is what they bank on. They bank on those pitchers that have a good promise, and they generally pan out for Oakland.
Yeah.
But, you know, those seem to fall by the wayside when you're talking New York because they keep running into these injury problems with the pitching staff. And again, I'm thinking it is their philosophy on how they're handling the pitchers. I think they really need to take a look at it because this is too often. It's too often.
Yeah.
I can understand if it's a guy that's always injury prone, Chris Sale. And it's that is an obvious thing. But this is like it seems like every time they get a good pitcher, I mean, you go back Harvey.
Yeah.
As far back as that they've always had problems with their pitching staff. Now Scherzer is there. Now he's relatively healthy his whole career. If he starts having problems, we know what the problem is.
No,
And I don't think anybody's going to tell Max Scherzer how to pitch, so he's going to do his thing.
Yeah.
But if he starts having a problem, it's the organization for sure.
No, I like where you're headed with that. Let's talk about another organization that's honestly making some moves. That's the Los Angeles Dodgers, who we didn't think they could stack up anymore. There was a question about their bullpen, with especially the closer. They seem to address that today with a trade with the White Sox. So they are actually sending A.J. Pollock to Chicago for closer Craig Kimbrell. We all know what Kimbrell did here in Boston and what he meant. And the Dodgers losing Kenley Jensen, who was their closer last year, 38 saves. Kimbrell, 24 saves in a spot role with Chicago. He only had 1 save with Chicago. So to me, again, obviously not used enough in Chicago. They did really well with Liam Hendricks, who had 38 saves and became the closer in Chicago.
Right.
Does this move make the Dodgers almost unbeatable?
Look, Kimbrell he's a great closer. I know he had the last year in Boston, he had a tough year. But last season, he put it all together. He came, he had a resurgence. And he's got loads of talent. He can close games. I'd look for him to get 40 plus. I mean, the team is going to be good. It's going to be really good. Will they be able to win the World Series?
It's a guarantee from the coach, the manager.
But when you throw that guarantee in spring training,
so
you're going to head for disaster because I can already see it, Eric. I can see it. Kershaw gets hurt. Maybe some of the hitting, doesn't live up to their contracts.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be a disaster of a season. Last year was a disaster of a season because they didn't win the World Series. And they basically buying a World Series ticket.
Yeah.
And if they don't make it again.
And A.J. Pollock in this deal isn't a slouch. I mean, he batted 297, 21 home runs, 69 RBIs, and he's extremely good defensively. So Chicago got a very good player. And the White Sox we consider one of the top teams in the Central. So, I mean, I think it's a benefit for both sides. This was a good trade on both sides.
Because
I don't think either one favored the other,
And Chicago has a lot of young arms that are coming,
Yeah.
coming up. And they're banking on somebody stepping up into a setup role, because they don't need a closer.
No.
So why pay all that money for a guy that you may not need? Of course, injuries can happen, and then they might end up kicking themselves. But you don't know. You just got to go with what you need to win, and you need right up the middle: catcher, pitcher, second and short, center fielder. That's what you need to win a World Series. That's what you need.
No, absolutely. So once again, if you enjoy what you're watching, check us out every Friday night as we are live. We're Fan Interactive. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. We are live. Again, we are Fan Interactive. If you decide to join us, you can definitely chime in, and we will make sure that we chime back. Follow us on social media at Sports Unfolded on Facebook and Twitter, at Broadcasting RI on Twitter, Sports underscore Unfolded on Instagram. Listen to us on our podcast if you don't have time to watch on Amazon, Anchor, Google, and Spotify, and now TuneIn. Discord is up for Sports Unfolded right there. So all our ranking come up on there as well as the shows. So if you want to watch them on Discord, you can do that. If you want to follow Rhode Island Broadcasting Discord, where you can get all the shows that are being broadcast on Rhode Island Broadcast, that's the link right there. Check it out. We do a lot with Discord now. We've got a lot going on with that. If you'd like to sponsor the show, email us at ribroadcasting.media@gmail.com. It's less than a cup of Starbucks coffee. The other day I went to Starbucks and got a cup of coffee. It is pretty expensive. So it's less than that. And you'll have thousands of eyes on your business, and you'll be able to help us continue to grow ours as well. So we got 50 bits today. I want to thank Manny for those. Continue to chime in on Twitch. Make sure, send some bits, send some love. We appreciate that. We're going to go on to your number one topic, my friend, and that is the NHL. And we're going to talk about Austin Matthews. And I feel like you're going to go off on a tangent as well. But we're going to bring him up on the screen because I want to see that stash. I love that stash by him. Look, he didn't even have a stash there.
Yeah, no stash there.
He scored his 50th goal of the season.
And he has a bent stick.
Yeah. And so are we sleeping on how good he can be?
Yeah. Yeah, like I think he's probably the best offensive player. I'd put him as the best offensive player in the league right now. And I know McDavid with 100 points, but this guy is a goal scorer. This guy can.
So
he's so talented.
Yeah, 249 goals in 396 games. So he currently sits 42nd in active scorers in the league. And I was like, oh, that's not very good. But then I started to look at the other guy.
Like 6 years.
So Louis Eriksson from Arizona is currently ahead of him. So in the 41st spot.
Oh, my God.
He's got 252 goals.
Wait. He just passed him. As we speak.
The thing is, Ron, Eriksson's has played in 1,035 games.
Yeah.
Austin Matthews has done it in 396 games.
This is what I'm saying. Look. I'm not a Maple Leafs fan, but I don't hate the Maple Leafs. I think their organization just needs to get things straight and figure out how to win a Stanley Cup. And they got to give this man some help.
He's an American too. I didn't even realize he's American.
And that's why I don't dislike him. I don't dislike him.
It's just I tried to, as I was doing my research, put him against some of the greats, and unfortunately, when you start looking at Gretzky's numbers and the fact that he got like 90 plus goals one season, I'm going, is that even possible? That's video game stuff. And then Lemieux, I was like, oh, let me check Lemieux. And Lemieux had a 90.
If Lemieux didn't get hurt, he'd probably put up the numbers that Gretzky did.
Just unreal. But I think they're sleeping on this kid. I think he's the next big star, Austin Matthews.
And that's why I say I would take Austin Matthews over McDavid.
Yeah.
Truth be told. Look, I love McDavid's speed his abilities, but he hasn't figured out, what the defensive end even is. Austin Matthews is starting to figure that stuff out. He's starting to figure out, okay, we need to do this to win a game. And it isn't just about him, because when he was out for that suspension, the team won both games. And I have to think that Austin Matthews was part of them winning those games. Like he's trying to get these players to play a certain way. Yes, you want to play up tempo and stuff like that, but you got to take care of your own end. And from what I see, his growth is getting better. It's getting better.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to be on the top of that goal scoring list for years to come. He'll battle it out with a couple of players, Draisaitl,
Yeah.
McDavid, and Pasternak will be up there. Pasternak started a little slow this year, but he's right up there. So, but Austin Matthews, he's fantastic, and this is where I lead into the rant. It's like those of you in Pittsburgh that swear that Crosby is still the best player in the league, wake up, smell the coffee, because as it sits right now, you are tied in 19th for points. And you have a guy on your team that literally is probably better than Crosby, but doesn't get the recognition that he's better. And that is Malkin. So you have a superstar with you, and you still are 19th in points. There's no way you are the best player in the league. You're not even in the top 10 in the league.
Hopefully
so wake up, smell the coffee. I'm not saying Crosby's not a good player. I'm not saying that. He's a fantastic player, but he's not great. Great players lead the league in something. And he's only led the league in points twice in his whole career. That is not a great player. That's a very good player. So Crosby can disappear.
Let's talk some Boston Bruins. So obviously they're our local team, and I know you follow them as much as possible to get all the information you can. So they've had an interesting week. So we're going to just kind of review it real quick. The loss to Toronto 6-4 in an obviously important game for playoff positioning. What went wrong there?
Okay, I can sum that up in 3 words. Grizzlick. Oh my God, I can't even think of his name now. Clifford and Carlo.
That's 3. There you go. You got your 3.
They were horrible in that game. Clifton was literally responsible for 3 of the goals. Coughing it up, just making bad plays, handing it all over to Toronto. And you can't turn it over in your own end to Toronto. They're too talented.
Yeah.
Carlo, again, twice. He was responsible for 2 goals. One of them was literally dumped right in front of the net. And what do you want a goaltender to do? Can't do anything. And Grizzly coughed up the puck many times in that game. Most of them didn't turn out to be a goal, but it just kept that sustaining pressure on them. And, that was the reason why. Those 3 players played horrible, and they couldn't get out of the hole. It was too big.
Gotcha.
When they decided to play, like the Bruins made a good comeback. They brought it to 6-4, which was amazing because they started playing with 10 minutes left in the game.
Yeah.
I was getting so frustrated. But, last week I called out the Toronto Maple Leafs and said, this is your opportunity now. And they pulled it out. They did it.
Okay.
They still have a problem in their defensive end. Giordano can only do so much. But that defense is bad. And they're not, the wingers are not coming in deep enough to help out those defensemen. So they still have some problems, and they have problems with goaltender. Like they do. Let's make no mistakes about that. They are not going to win with their goaltending, and
So
that's no
speaking of
good.
goaltending, what about the Tuukka Rask ceremony? How did you feel about it?
I didn't even get a chance to see it because I was filming Pop Ascension while it
Hey,
was happening,
you missed it.
so
You
I
missed
missed
it.
it.
All right. What about the big win for the Bees last night, 8-1 against New Jersey? Is that more of them bouncing back from a bad loss, or is that more about New Jersey just being such a bad team?
Well, maybe a little bit of both. Mostly they bounce back because if you take each individual player, like first of all, after the loss to Toronto, I told you they were going to sit Forbert and Clifton. They sat him. Clifton may not get into the lineup again. He might not get back in there because Riley and Brown, who came in for those two, played extremely well. Brown is mammoth. Like I think the Bruins could actually put the biggest team on ice, in that defensive core. You know, I think maybe Riley and Forbert will probably swap in and out because Forbert is a pretty good defenseman. I think Forbert played well against Toronto. It wasn't his fault. Um, he's just a casualty because they wanted to get these guys in,
Yeah.
and so the defense played extremely well. And let's face it, the top three lines were all over the place, putting pressure on top of pressure on
Yeah.
top of pressure, and they just took it to them. And they had Foligno and Smith were also out of that game, so they brought up that kid McLaughlin, first game in the NHL,
Yeah, he scored,
got a
right?
goal.
Yeah.
It was a nice play by Frederick. He, blocked a pass and then broke in and seen him out there. He was like, I was passing all the way because I wanted him to get the goal. That's unselfish. And I love the way Frederick plays. I think he's got some skill and he's got that heart of Terry O'Reilly in him.
Good.
And so they looked good. So it was a lot of them bouncing back, putting up 8 goals. Marchand looked good. Pasternak always looks good.
Yeah.
Look, there was nothing to complain about in that game. There was nothing. Even Omar played well.
Yeah. Good.
That's saying something
Right.
for
There
me.
you go. So there's another team in Boston though that plays some hockey, and you
Some
had
championship hockey.
right championship hockey. The Boston Pride, they are the NWHL.
Yes.
So they won the Isobel Cup,
To Isabel. Yeah.
and so we just wanted to congratulate them going back to back. They are a women's hockey league, professional women's hockey league. They played Hartford, which had the best record in the league, and ended up winning that championship, which is really great for them. So
Yeah, like you should see the numbers. What a difference from the regular season to the playoffs for them. All right, during the regular season, Eric, their power play was 6%.
not very good.
Not very good. So it showed in the standings. They finished third overall. In the playoffs, 67% clip.
Well, that's a little bit of a difference.
You can't lose with that good of a power play.
Yeah.
You can't lose. It's like they scored 5 goals a game in the playoffs, 2.5 during the regular season.
Wow.
Like that's amazing. And Callie Flanagan had 2 goals, 3 assists in those 3 games played. Look, next season I'm gonna have to watch all their games because this team was dominant in the playoffs, dominant, and it's exciting. Like
No, it's fun to get another championship. Teams that you don't really, know about. We're trying to get some of those teams some coverage. We did the Massachusetts Pirates, the Providence Pirates. Now we got the Boston Pride. So we're trying to find some of these local teams that may not have been as big of industry from a sports standpoint. But guess what? They're playing some really good hockey.
Yeah, so Boston has one championship already this year.
There we go. See? There we go. So let's look at some NCAA basketball, my friend, because there's some games coming up of importance. I don't know. So there's some Final Four matchups that are scheduled. Some start today, the women's bracket today, and tomorrow the men's bracket. So we'll talk really quick because we got to do some predictions, so we won't give anything away. But number 1 Kansas takes on number 2 Villanova. My question would be: is the injury to Justin Moore, who's their second leading scorer, can Nova overcome that? You know, that's a big loss for them. Kansas has played some good basketball in this tournament.
Yeah. I think they're in deep trouble without having him.
Yeah.
They're in deep trouble. They're going to have everybody is going to have to step up and do more. Yeah. And I don't know if if they're going to be able to.
Yeah, and they're not very deep. They don't. I think they only play like 7 guys. So it'd be interesting because that's a lot of wear and tear. What about number 2 Duke at number 8 North Carolina? So obviously a rematch of Coach K's last game at at home and how that all transpired. So I'm really interested just to see how Duke's motivation is for this one. But then you look at it's never happened before with these two teams facing in the final.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And you think about the history, right?
That's happened. Yeah, like it's amazing. Like I would have thought they would have played many times because they've, perennial, contenders.
Powerhouses. So this may be Coach K's last game. We don't know. We're gonna have to watch tomorrow night and find out. Women's bracket: Louisville faces South Carolina. So Dawn Staley and what she's been able to do at South Carolina. Really excited to see if she can hold on at least 2 more games and get her first championship as a coach. I didn't realize she hadn't had one as a player. And she was on some great teams and was unable to get it as a player. So she's got a little bit of motivation to get this team. She knows what it feels to lose. So
absolutely.
If there's anybody that can relay the message to the team, I think she's going to be that one. And she was a phenomenal player. So what about the UConn Huskies facing Stanford? This is the UConn's 14th straight Final Four appearance. 14 straight, Ron.
Yeah, I know.
In college sports, unheard of.
Yeah. I mean, you got to think that they can win this, right? Because they've been like, a top team for so long. I'm not sure. I think the other teams have started to catch up.
Yeah.
And I think they're onto his game.
But it's just amazing that you can have that kind of run for that long.
Yeah,
when you talk about players in college, obviously coming and going, and for 14 years, that's what, 3 graduating classes, and you were able to do that.
About it, because you start out, in a winning situation with UConn, you're going to get all the top recruits.
Yeah,
let's be honest. Like they get all the top recruits, but now people are starting to figure out if we play this game this way, it seems to work. And if we can get like one recruit, if we can convince one recruit that would normally go to Connecticut, and if we can get that recruit, and we can explain that if we play this type of game, your type of game, we can beat UConn, and then we will go down in history for beating them. And that is how they turn the tide against, UConn. And I think a few of these teams can do it, including their opponent.
Yeah, well, we'll make our predictions shortly. So let's go to our face-off. And our face-off is about the ghost runner in Major League Baseball. So the ghost runner rule is where you automatically place a runner on second base to start extra innings in an effort to shorten the games. So this rule came into effect last year. They voted it to be back this year. So ultimately, what we're trying to do is see where you're at on this opinion, and I'll argue the other way. So because you are first, my friend, this week, you get to pick if you're for the rule or against the rule.
I guess I'll be against the rule.
You're against the rule, so I am for the rule. Okay, so go ahead.
I don't know. I'm indifferent. All right. First of all, oh wait, do you have the timer or
I
whatever?
got it. Go ahead.
Okay. So first of all, um, being a purist of the game, I do not like just putting a guy on second base and trying to get him in, because all you need is a sacrifice bunt and then a fly ball and then that run scores. That is just total crap. Nobody earned to get to second base. You didn't earn it. There's no freebies in baseball.
Oh boy, easy, Tom
You
Hanks.
know, like, look, you want to shorten the game, make pitchers pitch faster. Get the guy in the freaking box, the batter's box, instead of fixing your glove and scratching your crotch and doing
So
all that stuff.
here's why you need to be for it.
No.
And this is why you need to be for it. After 4 hours of watching a baseball game, put a guy on second and end this game, please, because I can't go another hour and a half.
But that's what's happening. They're still going to like three more innings after that. It has nothing to do with that.
To make sure that they're putting runs on the board. You saw shorter games last year. It makes sense. It adds pressure to the pitching because now the pitcher has to worry about a guy on second.
Yes, but it's still going an average of 3 or 4 more innings because both teams are scoring the run all the time. Because all it takes is a bunt and a fly ball.
Look. It's a great rule. It's a great rule.
It's stupid. No, it's a terrible rule.
I honestly don't agree with it, but all right.
See? So I won. There it is.
I'll give you that one. So
it's an impossible one to argue because it's dumb.
It's a dumb rule. So once again, if you enjoy what you're watching, check us out every Friday night.
It's like when we argued the DH rule, and you were, against, that, and it's like I agree with that.
I was the purist one. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're live on Rhode Island Broadcasting every Friday night at 6 p.m. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. You can follow us on social media at Sports Unfolded on Facebook and Twitter, at Broadcasting RI on Twitter, Sports_Unfolded on Instagram. Don't have time to watch, listen to us on our podcasts on Amazon, Anchor, Google, Spotify, and now TuneIn. You can follow us on Discord, on Rhode Island Broadcasting, and Sports Unfolded. Those links are coming up. There we go. Discord, Rhode Island Broadcasting, which will show you all of the Rhode Island Broadcasting shows. And if you want exclusive, just the Sports Unfolded, there's your link as well. If you'd like to sponsor the show, ribroadcasting.media@gmail.com. You can sponsor the show. We'd love to be able to advertise for you, get thousands of eyes on your business, and also help us continue to grow.
And then Ron can bring out his radio voice. And today's show is sponsored by...
Yeah. We're trying to sell this thing, buddy. We're trying to sell it. So our number one segment on this show is always our pick and roll.
I love this.
I tried to give you some love here with some hockey.
I saw that. I was like, wait, is he feeling okay?
Yes. Number 13. Actually, we didn't even change the title, so it's just episode 12. But we are in episode 13.
Oh, wait. I can't do it now.
So slapstick comedies, but that's all right.
I'll change
that's
it.
Papa Ascension, too. I just noticed that.
Oh, my God.
That's all right. Look. So we are ranking the number 13s in NHL history, and they're Pavel Dushak.
No, not even close.
I knew I wasn't going
to. Pavel
Datsuk.
Datsuk.
I when I remember him from Detroit, right?
That's yuck. Yeah.
Yes. Matt Sundin.
Yup.
Teemu Selanne.
Yup.
Slava Kozlov,
or Vyacheslav,
and Bill Guerin.
Bill Guerin.
I was close. I almost got that one. That was the easiest out of
that. Should be the easy one.
I don't know, but listen, you're the hockey guy. You know this, but again, this is all about numbers and where we feel they stand. So, you're first. You're number 5.
Okay, so I'm going to enlighten you. At number 5. I have Teemu Selanne. because he only was number 13 for his first year.
Yeah, and then later
He
in
was
his
number
year.
8 the rest of the way.
Yeah.
So that 76 goal season was it was pretty
But
impressive.
he did end his career as 13. I think in between. It was like a sandwich thing.
Yeah, well,
But go ahead.
yeah. But so I put him
Not a
as
true 13
default.
to you. Okay.
But I will read off his numbers because these are freaking great numbers. So 1,451 games played, 684 goals scored, 773 assists. He averaged more than a point a game. He was a plus 95. He had 1 Stanley Cup win, 4-time All-Star, which if you add up all the others, came out to 4.
Yep.
1 Calder Trophy and 1 Rocket Richard Trophy, which is for the most goals in a season. He was a phenomenal player, Hall of Famer, one of the best players to ever play, but wasn't a 13.
I gotcha.
So, number 4, I have Slava Kozlov. 1,182 games played, 356 goals, 497 assists. He was a plus 96 for his career.
Yep.
2 Stanley Cups.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Didn't make any All-Star games.
Nope.
Hard to believe that he didn't make an All-Star game. Good numbers. Not great, but good numbers. He was a good player. A solid player. Like he's going to he makes, it's like getting that guy on the second line that you need, Number 3, I have Bill Guerin. He's also a former Bruin, by the way. 1,263 games played, 429 goals, 427 assists. He's a plus 57 for his career. I would have thought it would have been higher, because I thought he was a pretty damn good player.
Mm-hmm.
He won 2 Stanley Cups, and he was only in an All-Star game once.
Yeah.
So, now, that leaves 2 guys. But because I am a diehard researcher with numbers, I pulled out another number 13.
Okay.
I had to throw in my boy, the Rat, Ken Linsman. 860 games played. 256 goals, 551 assists for 807 points, just barely under a point a game. Like, I would take him over the other 2 that we just spoke of. I would take Ken Linsman.
Okay.
And he was such a disturber. People on the ice, when you played against him, you hated him. Hated. This is Marchand with less goals.
Okay.
He was a plus 221 for his career.
Oh, very good.
1 Stanley Cup. So that's who would be my number 3.
Okay.
Number 2, I have Matt Sundin. He is, if you take Solani out of the 13 category, he is the most skilled player of all of them.
Yep.
1,346 games, 564 goals, 785 assists for 1,349 points, 3 points higher than a point per game. So he averaged a point per game. Plus 73, and I thought that should be higher.
Mm-hmm.
And that tells me what I used to see when I watched him play. Laziness getting back to your own end. He could have been better as a player. That's scary.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1, oh wait, he had no Stanley Cups, by the way.
No, none.
That's why he wasn't going to be number 1.
Gotcha.
He's lucky to be that high, to be honest with you. I was thinking of putting him 4th.
Okay.
But the numbers were too good. Two All-Star appearances. Number 1, I have Pavel Datsyuk. I love this player. He was so good.
Yeah.
953 games played, 314 goals. Not a lot of goals, but 604 assists
Yep.
for 918 points, almost a point a game. He was a plus 249.
Right, insane. Yep.
It's insane. And
yeah.
what's even more insane is he's playing against all the team's best players. He is their Patrice Bergeron. This guy won 4 Lady Bings for the most gentlemanly player, so he doesn't get penalties. He won twice for the Selke Award, and the only reason why he only won 2, because there was this other guy, Patrice Bergeron, that won some. He won 2 Stanley Cups, 1 All-Star game for a defensive player that can get you a point a game. This guy was a fantastic player, one of the best to ever grace a Detroit jersey.
Yep. So, obviously, all those great numbers. I went a little bit different.
Yep.
So I at number 5, I had Sundin. Not winning a championship, I definitely held out.
Like I told you, I was going to put him at 4.
And then I put Solani at 4 based on the fact of, like you said, he's not a true 13. It was kind of sandwiched in between, but his numbers were great.
I know they are.
I went Guerin at number 3, so we had that the same. With the 2 cups and the 1 All-Star. I thought that was pretty good. And then obviously his goals and assists. I had Slava Kozlov.
Yep.
At number 2. And I like the plus 96. He beat out Guerin. So but they both had 2 cups, so I went that way. But Datsyuk, to your point, I mean, just all his awards plus the 2 cups and then the plus 249. He had to be the best 13 in hockey.
Look, I like I said, I liked the Detroit Red Wings. That's probably my second favorite team.
Yeah.
I was a huge Steve Yzerman fan, huge. So I used to watch a lot of the Detroit games, and I got to know a lot of those players pretty well. And Datsyuk, he was probably my second favorite Red Wing of all time. And I'll tell you, he is such a great hockey player, and he's Patrice Bergeron. That's exactly, I think Bergeron has a better scoring ability. Obviously, he has 6 30-goal seasons.
Yeah.
But, Datsyuk was just so talented, and he played the best players every night. So when you're outscoring those best players, what does that tell you?
Yeah.
That makes you the best player. You know what I'm saying?
No, definitely.
And, it's like with Sundin, I give him a little bit of I cut him some slack because of the franchise that he played for, Toronto. Because look,
Toronto and Montreal. Oof.
No, I don't hate Toronto. They hate their philosophy.
Yeah,
they just go for offense and they forget about their defense.
Yeah. That's other parts of the game. Yeah.
So, I think he's kind of a victim of what Austin Matthews is going through right now. He's just like that. Although he's a little lazier than Austin Matthews. He could have been so much better, but he just didn't want to go play defense. He'd stroll back. Okay, somebody get me the puck, and then I'll skate hard. So it was a good list, and I can see your point putting him down that far because I was going to do the same thing. But if I was picking my teams out of these guys, I would still have taken Sundin ahead of Guerin and Kozlov.
Gotcha.
I wouldn't have done it with Linsman though. I think Linsman I would have taken ahead of Sundin, just because of that
fun
extra.
Fun list. A little hockey there. A little hockey.
Yeah. And I like when we do other teams and stuff.
Yeah.
I do like that because it doesn't have to always be like Boston this and Boston that.
No,
I don't mind.
We had some fun. We have some fun with it. So it's prediction time. So we tied last week. So we are back, still remaining tied. I don't think either one of us wants to lose, so I think we're just going to stick with staying tied, about 49 and 40, so 55%. We had a good week, 7-3.
Yes.
We both went 7-3.
And
so,
again, I might add that we are only picking the big games.
yeah,
of
so
that
we are trying to make
week.
sure we get some of the top-notch matchups of the week. So
Yes.
we are going to start off, and we will rotate again. I already picked mine, so I made sure this time again.
Look, you people out there need to get on this list.
Yeah.
Start making your predictions. We read them off. You type it into the comments. And
Yeah.
we'll even show those comments for the peeps,
Yep.
the viewers
For the peeps. So
that are
on
really
April-
watching Sports Unfolded, not
Yes.
Pop Ascension.
So on April 1st, April Fool's Day, by the way,
Oh.
it is.
So basically,
might
if
be a
I get
joke.
any wrong, I'm just going to say
just
April
joking.
Fools.
Yeah, April Fool's.
April
I love it.
Fools.
So tonight, Minnesota at Carolina. So
I go
facing
first,
the
huh?
Hurricanes. You are first.
Oh,
Unless you want
you
me to go
know, I am going to go with Carolina. They're at home.
I went with Carolina as well. I just think Minnesota, as well as they're playing, Carolina is still a better team. So
Yeah.
I am up for April 4th, Toronto at Tampa Bay. The Lightning have not played as well as they possibly could. Austin Matthews, we discussed. I think that Toronto's starting to take that step forward because they know it's important games now. I'm going with Toronto.
I as well am going with Toronto. I hate to say it, but I think that game against Boston kind of woke
Sparked
that
them.
team up.
Spark them.
It did.
It did. April 5th, Colorado Avalanche at the Pittsburgh Penguins.
You know, Colorado hasn't been playing, like Colorado we expect. I believe McKinnon is also out.
Yes, he is.
So I am going to go with Pittsburgh this game.
All right. I went Colorado. I still think they're the better team.
I hope Colorado wins, to be honest with you.
But I think they're the
I
better
hope.
team. April 3rd, which is my birthday, so I will get to pick this. Dallas at Milwaukee. I am going the Bucks. I don't want to because I just feel Luka, but listen, Milwaukee's starting to play at a different level, so I'm going Milwaukee.
Yeah, the buck stops here.
Oh, very good.
Like seriously, after seeing them against the Nets, look, they want that top seed.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, just to say, you know what, we are the number one team, at least in the East.
Yeah.
And we'll see Phoenix in the championship. That's what they're thinking right now.
I agree with you.
And they are not afraid of anyone.
April 5th, Memphis Grizzlies at the Utah Jazz.
Ja is still out, right?
Ja is still out, but they've actually got a better record without
Ja.
Ja.
I know, they do.
So that's...
But I like what Utah did to the Lakers. And yeah,
Okay.
I know,
All right.
I know. It's just the Lakers.
It's
no
LeBron. It's your
LeBron,
boy, though. Yeah.
no LeBron for that game, no
Yeah.
Antonio Davis, But they were struggling. I think they had lost 4 or 5 in a row.
Yeah.
And they were struggling. And now I think they have woken up. And I am going to go with Utah.
I went Memphis. I still think they're the better team. And any of these West opponents, they're going to go through to make sure they prove a point. April 6th, the Boston Celtics at the Chicago Bulls. I am doing it to myself again. I'm picking Boston. Every time I've done this, they've let me down on this predictions, but I'm going Boston.
Don't let me down.
I just feel like they know the importance of some of these games now. And Chicago's playing good basketball again, but
yes,
the Boston's still going to win this game.
Yeah, I think they are going to win the game. I think, look, they're sore from losing that Miami game, and I think they're going to take it out on their next few opponents.
Yeah.
So I like Boston in this. Like, they are not going to just roll over.
April 2nd, tomorrow night, Final Four matchup, Duke versus North Carolina.
Look, I think this season is a season of destiny. I'm going Duke. There's no way he's losing to them on his last game. He's not going to lose the last game at home to
And the
North
last game
Carolina,
in
and then the last game of his career. No, it ain't
Yeah,
happening.
I
That
have to
team
agree
is
with
going
you.
to be
Yeah.
up so much for
Yeah.
this game.
Yeah, a lot of bad blood after that loss.
Oh,
So
like he
I
was
really feel
apologizing for that.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like you don't
yeah.
need to apologize to anyone. But
All
he
right.
did.
And tonight, I think it's at 9:30. Stanford versus Connecticut, the women's Final Four.
Yeah, I'm going to watch this game.
I am going Stanford. I think the run ends for Gino.
That's what I was leading to.
Yeah,
That
they played that overtime game. Connecticut got by, but I still feel like, look, they're another year away before they just dominate again. And they had the injury. So I'm going Stanford.
Yeah, I also am going Stanford. I was leading to that, when I was talking about UConn. And like I said, I think there's 3 teams that have caught up to UConn. And this is one of them. This is one of them. And the other one, South Carolina.
South Carolina. Yep. Agreed. So normally how we end our show, Ron, we do our final thought. Doesn't necessarily have to be about anything sports related. It could be about anything going on in the world today.
You're going to love this one.
So you are first this week. I cannot wait. Your final thought.
So my final thought this week goes out to Will Smith. No, not that one.
Okay.
Not that one.
Okay.
Not that one. Will Smith of the Dodgers.
Wow. Okay.
This is how so uninformed people in this country are. They announced Will Smith coming to the plate, and the crowd booed him because it's Will Smith. Like, really? Yes, the actor decided to put on a Dodgers uniform and go out there and play for the Dodgers this game. So, yeah, sure. He's also a different color.
Okay. So.
It's like he is not Will Smith that smacked Chris Rock. He's not that guy. But because his name is Will Smith, the crowd boos him.
That's hilarious.
Like, seriously, Texas Ranger fans, seriously. It's like you guys are idiots. Seriously.
That's horrible.
So they boo a guy that has nothing to do with it.
The same name. That's all. Yeah.
Are they going to do that to everybody named Will Smith that plays sports? Because let me tell you, that's pretty common. There's probably like 3 of them in the NFL.
Tell me you live in America. Yeah, I like that. Without telling me you live in America. Yeah.
Will Smith of the Dodgers. I feel for you, man. It's not your fault. Don't take it to heart. People are just dumb.
Yes. That was a great one, man. I love that. I thought you were going somewhere else, man. I thought you were April Fool's in me there.
Nope.
So my final thought, and I guess we should move to LA because mine's also about the Dodgers. But mine's about Andrew Tolles. And you may not know who Andrew Tolles is, but he was a former LA Dodger. They recently re-signed him to the team. He hasn't played baseball since 2018. He actually played on some of their playoff teams back in 2018. They renewed his contract to allow him to receive his mental health services and health insurance. So Tolles is a schizophrenic who was found, he was arrested after being found sleeping in, so he's also homeless, sleeping in an airport. And obviously with some of his mental issues, was arrested. The team has decided to step up and honor a contract for him so that he can receive insurance to be able to take care of himself. When we talk about some of these organizations and some of the things they do, these are the things that get missed. They don't have to do this. He hasn't played for them in 4 years. But sometimes when we talk about brotherhoods or sisterhoods in sports, it goes so further than just the jersey you wear. And this is about them taking care of a human being who is part of their team that honestly meant something to that organization other than a number or a jersey. I just want to commend the Dodgers for doing this. Hopefully he gets all the help he can get with what they're giving him so that he can end up at least having some kind of a normal life. But I thought that was such a great story, and I just wanted to share that. But great job by the Dodgers.
That is fantastic. And you know how earlier I was saying karma. with the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Maybe the karma is good.
Yeah. So maybe. Let's see. Hopefully. So I want to thank everybody that joined us tonight live. Manny, you've been amazing. Thank you for the bits tonight. Thank you for following us. All the fans that are going to watch afterwards, just continue to join, follow. Ron, I appreciate your time tonight. It was a great show.
It was fun.
And all we want out there in this world is peace. So let's keep fighting for that.
Oh, I gotta end the show, I guess, huh?
No, let's just keep.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.
All right. Take care.